very nice, 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 very nice, 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 very nice, so many different people in the same device. 3. Folly. Nowhere does Bakonin warn against a person's trying to discover the limits of his karass and the nature of the work God Almighty has had it do. Bakonin simply observes that such investigations are bound to be incomplete. In the autobiographical section of the books of Bakonin, he writes a parable on the folly of pretending to discover, to understand. I once knew an Episcopalian lady in Newport, Rhode Island, who asked me to design and build a doghouse for her Great Dane. The lady claimed to understand God and his ways of working perfectly. She could not understand why anyone should be puzzled about what had been or about what was going to be. And yet, when I showed her a blueprint of the doghouse I proposed to build, she said to me, "I'm sorry, but I never could read one of those things." "Give it to your husband or your minister to pass on to God," I said, "and when God finds a minute, I'm sure he'll explain this doghouse of mine in a way that even you can understand." She fired me. I shall never forget her. She believed that God liked people in sailboats much better than he liked people in motorboats. She could not bear to look at a worm. When she saw a worm, she screamed. She was a fool, and so am I, and so is anyone who thinks he sees what God is doing, writes Bakonin. 4. A tentative tangling of tendrils. Be that as it may, I intend in this book to include as many members of my karass as possible, and I mean to examine all strong hints as to what on earth we, collectively, have been up to. I do not intend that this book be a tract on behalf of Bakoninism. I should like to offer a Bakoninist warning about it, however. The first sentence in the books of Bakonin is this: "All of the true things I am about to tell you are shameless lies." My Bakoninist warning is this: anyone unable to understand how a useful religion can be founded on lies will not understand this book either. So be it. About my karass, then. It surely includes the 3 children of Dr. Felix Honecker, one of the so-called fathers of the first atomic bomb. Dr. Honecker himself was no doubt a member of my karass, though he was dead before my sanukas, the tendrils of my life, began to tangle with those of his children. The first of his heirs to be touched by my sanukas was Newton Honecker, the youngest of his 3 children, the younger of his 2 sons. I learned from the publication of my fraternity, the Delta Upsilon Quarterly, that Newton Honecker, son of the Nobel Prize physicist Felix Honecker, had been pledged by my chapter, the Cornell chapter. So I wrote this letter to Newt. Dear Mr. Honecker, or should I say, Dear Brother Honecker, I am a Cornell DU, now making my living as a freelance writer. I am gathering material for a book relating to the first atomic bomb. Its contents will be limited to events that took place on August 6, 1945, the day the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. Since your late father is generally recognized as having been one of the chief creators of the bomb, I would very much appreciate any anecdotes you might care to give me of life in your father's house on the day the bomb was dropped. I am sorry to say that I don't know as much about your illustrious family as I should, and so don't know whether you have brothers and sisters. If you do have brothers and sisters, I should like very much to have their addresses so that I can send similar requests to them. I realize that you were very young when the bomb was dropped, which is all to the good. My book is going to emphasize the human rather than the technical side of the bomb, so recollections of the day through the eyes of a baby, if you'll pardon the expression, would fit in perfectly. You don't have to worry about style.